It is my great pleasure to introduce to you a tech entrepreneur, a leader of a not-for-profit organization who I had the pleasure of getting to know about a year and a half ago. Nelly reached out to me on LinkedIn out of the blue, and the rest is history. And Nelly has an amazing story to tell us. And today she's actually, although she resides in the United States, she is dialing in just for Zscaler all the way from Kenya. So Nelly, why don't you take it away?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for the intro, Kavita. You are wonderful and such a very invaluable mentor. So yes, I'm calling in from Kenya. It's almost 8 o'clock here. And I hope you all can hear me okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you all see my screen okay? I hope you all can.
We can.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so at TechLit Africa, we hope to spread leverage with technology. And I'm going to go a little bit more about why that is important and also go through a little bit of my story and my journey building TechLit. So I have 6 photos here of my life growing up here in Mogotio. So I grew up in Mogotio, which is a village 4 hours north of Nairobi. I grew up in abject poverty. So the picture here on the far left is a picture of my mom outside her place of business. My mom is very hardworking. She put all 4 of us through schools, and for a single mother to do that is very impressive. So Kenya still has that mentality that you should only educate boys, you should only invest in boys. But my mom, being a single mother, worked tirelessly day and night to make sure that all her girls have gone through school. And what that looks like is making sure that we have uniforms, we have textbooks, paying for tuition. So in Kenya, parents pay for tuition. We don't have property taxes where it covers the tuition, parents pay for it. And if you can't afford tuition, you're constantly sent home to collect tuition, therefore missing a lot of school hours. Also, most of our high schools are also boarding school, just for context. So she used to be a street food vendor. She would wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning and bake chapatis and mandazis. So this is some kind of Kenyan bread, and sell that all day. On a good day, she'll only make a profit margin of $2, because she will only make $10, use $8 to pay back the ingredients, and then only make $2. On a bad day, she'll be at a loss because she will need to pay the ingredients, but she wasn't able to sell all the chapatis and mandazis, and so she just lost money. With that kind of profit margins, she even though she worked really hard, we sometimes went for days without food. The house that we grew up in, pictured here on the center picture, is made of tin roofs. It was very unsafe to live there, and I lived in that house for 18 years. We never took pictures inside. We were so embarrassed to take any pictures inside. And anytime our friends needed to visit, we'll just tell them to meet at my mom's kiosk at the vending. This is my sister Sharon. She's the eldest. And on the background here is my sister Barbara. So watching my mom struggle really hard, I've made a promise to her that I will take care of her, that when I grow up, I'll take care of her and she's going to live like a queen. And the only way I could do that was study really hard in school. So I studied really hard in primary education. I was the top girl at the district. I scored the highest grades, which was very unheard of. And that qualified me, a sport at a national school, which was 3 hours away. As I mentioned earlier, all high schools are boarding school. And so tuition at that high school was $1,000 a year. My mom did not have any that kind of money. And the first time she sent me to school, she had to go to all the government offices, telling them about me, telling them about Nelly, and telling them that this is the first girl in the district who scored an A+ in the national exam. We don't have money to send her to Mary Hill Girls. Like, help us do that. And with all her efforts, she was only able to get $50. So she sent me to Mary Hill Girls. But my 4 years in high school, I was constantly sent home to collect tuition. I missed a lot of classes. But every time I was sent home, I'll come help at the kiosk, just enough to get bus fare, and then go back to school, just lay really low so they don't know that I came back, catch up on studies, and then when they discover me, they'll send me back home. So it was like that for 4 years. But in the end, I still graduated at the top of my class. And from that, everything just opened up. So I was also the top girl in the area, in the district. I was among the top one in the nation. And with that, I got a full scholarship to come to Augustana College. And so in 2012, August 2012, I flew to Augustana College, and I can talk more about like how life in America is so different. But what was really cool was that I could do a work study program, and I was earning $8. I could earn $8 an hour through the work study program. So I spent the first year, save up as much money, flew back at the end of 2013, went to Nairobi, brought a truckload of furniture, and moved my family out of this house into this amazing house. I also brought Goodwill dresses, and we all dressed up. And for the first time in our life, we were really proud to take pictures inside. Here's a picture of my mom now. She lives at her own land. She has water. She doesn't even have to walk. So my sisters and I are both financially stable, and so we support her. She just get an allowance. And here on the far right is a picture of my grandma. My grandma never went to school, and she always wanted to graduate, to have a degree. So after I graduated, I gave her my graduation gown, and she was the happiest she's ever been. She still wears that today, 5 years later. So I had moved my family out of poverty. They were all really good. And I started looking at my community, because my story is not unique. Anyone growing up in Mogotio, anyone growing in rural Kenya have similar stories, some worse than others. And when I looked back, I realized that the only equalizer that I can think of, that only equalizer that I was able to move me from where I was to where I am now, was education. And I thought that I could actually be part of a movement in Kenya that disrupt the way we do education. There's a lot of things broken in the system that way. And so I went back, continue working as many hours as I could from the work study program. And 2 years later, I had about $3,000 saved. And I started these 4 tiny classrooms, 4 tiny classrooms. We were just giving like preschool education. Our school was not even up to standard with the Kenyan government. So it was just a preschool education. And so in 2016, the kids moved in. My sister Sharon, pictured earlier, was the one running the school. Around the time I was building the school, so I was a junior in college, I also discovered computer science. Like many kids growing up in rural Kenya, I first used a computer when I was applying to, after I graduated high school at 18, just here and there. And I first really used one when I got to America. And I got to America, I did not know anything about computers. I was really intimidated watching my friends type. I didn't even know what touch typing was. The way I typed was just like by pressing the keys. And so constantly watching my American peers, I was constantly intimidated. And I needed to take an intro to Java for my math major. And I typed something, even though it took me forever to type it, hello world, and I was blown away. I was like, I am going to become a software engineer. And for so long, I just wanted to have that title, software engineer. So I was a junior in college. I only had very few semesters left. And I switched my major real quick. I took as many classes as I could and got a software engineering degree. I did not have an internship. That made it really hard for me to get a job afterwards. But as I was building the school and majoring in computer science, I realized that actually digital literacy is what can actually kind of like augment our educational system, because our educational system was based mostly on memorization. Like I have all this knowledge in my head that I don't need to because I can just Google it up, but I had to memorize all these things to do good in school. And the reason that the more I thought about it, the reason that our education system was very memorization based was because we didn't have the tools, right? If we're doing a lesson on solar panels and we don't have the tools to show you a solar panel, then we're going to memorize all the bits about solar panel. Right now we have a thing where the education system require every school to have computers, but the way they're teaching that is just like all the elements of a keyboard, and they're just using pictures from textbooks because they don't have actual computers, right? So it makes sense that we're really memorization based. And so I saw computers is such an easy way to spread this leverage. With computers, we can have all kind of simulation. We can simulate how it is to fly a plane. So even if someone has never been on a plane, they can play this flight simulation game and they can have an idea about that. And so I also noticed that my friends churn out computers every 3 years. So every 3 years, your computer is too slow, you're getting a new one. And I realized I could take those computers and put them in schools in Africa. And that's when the idea for TechLit Africa was born. This is just some of the pictures from the lab. And so our approach to this tech literacy is involved more in making the kids have the hands-on approach. So we have collaborative learning, where in our labs we have them teach each other. So we try to be as hands-on as possible. These kids are used to following what the teacher is saying. The teacher says one, they say one. The teacher says this, they say this. But in this class, they have a computer. Our UI is very intuitive. They press enter, 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 and they're already playing some games. They can turn to their friend and get feedback on how to play the game and so on. So they're learning from each other. This is Ruth Chemilimo right here, teaching Stella. Similar, it's just self-directed. We try to be very hands-off. Yeah. We also have, because of lack of internet, we also have our own intranet servers where we download parts of the internet and distribute it into the lab. So we have our own content. And as a result, we also have multiplayer games. So after, the pictures I've shown you was in 2019 when we were running pilots lab for TechLit. During that time, we worked with over 1,200 kids, about 300 kids a day. But as I was running the program, this lady right here, Faith, came to me and asked if there's anything that she could do at the school, like she could learn something like a vocational training, like braiding hair and tailoring, so that she can help her son. She was very embarrassed because she never went to school. She was like, I don't even know how old I am. I am only making 50 cents a day at this sisal plantation. I would like to acquire some skills so I can earn more money and take care of my son. When I heard her story, my heart sunk, because if someone is not educated, I don't even know how to help, because that is so core to my story, so core to who I am. And to know that someone has lacked that opportunity is so sad. And so we started thinking of other ways we can accommodate segments of the population. What we have is already working really great with kids. And so with that, we are going to existing schools and putting computer labs. But also when it comes to high school students, we take them through Fiverr, we take them through social media marketing and WordPress building, enough for them to get jobs on these freelancing platforms like Upwork or Fiverr. When it comes to adults, and especially those who never went to school, we plan to provide vocational training like braiding hair and tailoring, enough for them to get jobs locally. So for the people who can access the global economy digitally, we do that. For the people who they're so far behind, we find them to also be effective members of the community by empowering them to have these skills where they can get the jobs locally or they can be employed by someone. And therefore, we are holistically transforming communities. And by if once this template works, we can go to different communities and do so. So going back to the school, now the school is so much bigger. This is what we are looking at. 4 floors that has the different programs. So the first floor is still the school. The second floor is the digital lab for both the kids and the adults. The third floor is the adult literacy program and a library. And the fourth floor is the vocational school. For each floor, we are partnering with different nonprofits organizations, all founded by women. It was an accident, it wasn't on purpose, but it's a really fun coincidence. As we're choosing to challenge today, this is really fun that the organizations that are coming in are all funded by women. So the second floor will be hosting TechLit Africa Labs. That floor will be hosting Read Across Africa, another nonprofit founded by a Kenyan woman. And fourth floor will be hosting Vocation NIMA Project, another nonprofit founded by Melinda Snow of Outback in the US. Some pictures from our construction. So we already started on the first wing. These are more pictures from the construction. And here the kids moved in. So we're already using the first floor. I'm just gonna go back real quick. And so, and now I'm in Kenya, actually working on getting 10 computer labs in 10 different schools, but also building on top of this building. So adding the floors to provide those services. Here's just a fun picture of us being up with the times. Here's us picking up computers. This is my co-founder and partner, Tyler. And yeah, thank you so much.
Nelly, thank you so much for sharing your story with all of us. I know you weren't able to see the chat, but it has been blowing up with just how incredible your story is and how inspirational it is to all of us here on the call, and how many individuals and lives that you've touched all over the world. So thank you for taking time and sharing it with us today. It's wonderful. Well, we've got a couple of minutes for Q&A. So I told everyone to try and throw some, if they've got any questions, throw them in the chat. But first, we just wanted to ask you one question. What would be your professional or, personal advice that you'd give to your younger self as you have gone through all of this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's amazing how some things that people say, so it could be something that Kavita said from this meeting, like what she said about giving people the platform, sharing the story, just giving people, like if you see someone that is trying to build something, sharing the platform with them, like promote their work, that is going to start with me. So like that is what I'm going to be using now going forward. But growing up, my teacher told me, my principal told me, leave a place better than you found it. Of course, maybe she was talking about cleaning. Like if you come into a room, it's not clean, clean it up, do it. But I have taken that to heart and I've ran with it. When I was growing up, I did not have access to computers. When I was growing up, kids did not know anything about technology. But right now, just a generation later, kids now are using computers at 3 years old instead of 21, 22, or even never, right? And it's so easy to look at yourself and think, I am just a junior software engineer. I am just, I'm just like starting on my sales career. There's nothing I can do that I can help anyone. But think about the challenges that you're facing as a junior software engineer, or as anyone like starting in the junior career. Think about those challenges you're facing. Now think at your future self, or think at someone who's going to be stepping in your shoe, someone who's a freshman in college right now, who will be in your shoe 4 years later. What can you do right now that will make that person not face the same challenges, right? So it could be you could speak up about something that is not right. It could be that you could have some systems that make sure that everyone's vote is counted. Whatever it is, just take that, like whatever it is, whatever challenges you are facing right now, make it better for someone who's going to be stepping in your shoe. So that is what I'm doing at a small scale and a larger scale. Even right now, as I'm building TechLit Africa and struggling with so many things, I keep thinking of how can I spread my knowledge and have someone who's going to be starting a nonprofit next time don't have to go through this.
Wonderful advice. Thank you so much again, Nelly, for joining us today. We really appreciate hearing your inspirational story and look forward to seeing more come, as I know you'll probably get many people friend requesting you and checking out your website, as I just shared it in the chat as well for everyone to enjoy and even donate if anyone would like to donate as well. So thank you again for coming today. And now I'd like